Hi guys, so we are going to be making cowboy candy. I am going to be using the recipe from The Garden Answer from YouTube. She is amazing. If you don't follow her yet, I highly recommend you do. Her name is Laura and she does some amazing videos with gardening, recipes, and totally inspirational holiday stuff. She's super sweet, so definitely check her out. Anyways, so cowboy candy. Normally it is used with 3 pounds of jalapenos. I am going to be using Serranos because we actually used them last time and they came out amazing, super delicious. I have some peppers that I harvested. I want to say it was October. Yeah, it was really like the end of October, the first thing of November. So these need to be processed ASAP. None of them are moldy. They just definitely need to be processed already. But these are going to be used here soon. They're not going to be used for like very long shelf storing. So that, I think that's why I'm gonna be okay. If they were moldy, I think it would totally change the situation. However, for long shelf storing, then I would highly recommend use some fresh ones like the ones that I picked today to complete my 3 pounds. But I picked whatever was ready, and I've been using them throughout the month. So see, if I find any of these that are gonna be like a little like fishy, this one's just her. I thought it was a mold from back there, but if there's any moldy ones, then I will definitely be throwing them out. But yeah, so the recipe calls for 3 pounds of peppers, 2 cups of vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is what she used, and that's what we used last time, and it turned out delicious. You don't really taste the whole like vinegariness of it. 6 cups of sugar, white cane sugar. 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. I have the half a teaspoon of turmeric and half a teaspoon of celery seed. So I have that ready here. I have to wash all my jars. In the website for the whole like regulations on canning, it says that if your processing time is more than 10 minutes, you don't need to sterilize them. So I just wash mine because the processing time is a little bit longer. So I'm just gonna be doing that because they sterilize in the process. However, you do your own research, because when it comes to canning, I feel like everyone's gonna be doing whatever you feel safe with and whatever you feel comfortable with. So this is the information that I read. This is the information that I'm going with. So you guys, a little bit of like you do you boo, because I don't want to be held liable for anything. But as long as you wash them and as long as you do follow the 10 minutes of processing time, it says you do not need to sterilize them. However, if you so choose to, what you can do, some people boil them. So they boil them for a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however long you want to do it for. Just the jar itself. The lid, you don't want to boil this part because the rubber gasket that we're going to be calling it, you don't want it to overly melt and it's going to take a weird shape. However, once you wash them, we are going to be putting them in a little pot with lukewarm water, because according to Caleb, which is Wise Guy, also on YouTube, he's super good. His grandma says to leave these in warm water so you get the rubber gasket a little bit warm and it's going to have a better seal. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be washing my jars. After that, I'll wash all my peppers and then slice them into a small ring, a smaller ring. So that's going to take a while, and then I'll pop you guys up whenever that is done. All right, so we're just going to slice all of your serranos. And the easiest ways that I find to do it, they don't have to be super even, because anyways they are going to be boiled in that syrup that we're gonna make, and they're gonna get processed, so they're gonna get cooked regardless. However, Some people take the butt off, or like the stem, and then chop from the bigger side to the point. I find that to be pointless because you're just taking off the stems for no reason. Always use your PPE, your gloves, because you will regret it. But make sure you do your little claw and use the stem to hold onto your pepper. You see how I'm still holding onto the stem to be able to chop my pepper? It just becomes so much easier. Do one at a time if you want to, do multiple at a time. Honestly, it doesn't really matter, whatever you feel comfortable with. And it's a great way to practice with your knife skills. So yep, we're gonna chuck along and keep chopping all of our serranos. All right, now we're gonna make the sauce or the syrup. I recommend having a big stock pot or large pan, whatever you call this. I call this a large olla. I don't know. I don't have the fan on high right now, just so you guys can hear me better. But I highly recommend when you're making this at home to have your fan on and all blast, because this will smell a lot. It will make you sneeze. So right now I have it on high. I am going to add the vinegar, sugar, celery seed, garlic powder, and turmeric. And I'm going to bring it to a boil, so that way I can see. All right, in the pot we put the 6 cups of sugar, the 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. We put 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, and we put another half a teaspoon of celery seed. We are going to get this to a boil, and once it boils, we are going to reduce the heat and simmer it for 5 whole minutes. But yes, so we are bringing it to a boil, reducing the heat, simmering for 5 minutes. Then you bring it back to a boil, and once it is boiled, we will add the peppers, bring back to a boil with the peppers in the pot, and reduce the heat. And we're gonna simmer the peppers for 4 minutes. We will then transfer the peppers into the jars, leaving a 1/4 inch headspace. Oh, we will bring the syrup back up to a boil for 6 more minutes without the peppers, because we scooped out the peppers and put them into the jars. So once that syrup by itself boils for 6 more minutes, it's going to get a little thicker, and then we'll ladle the syrup into the jars. Woof! Then we're gonna process the jars for 10 minutes each. Got it. All right, I am now at a boil. I'm gonna reduce the heat. Ah, it's getting so much bigger. Then I am going to reset it. 4 minutes simmering. Great, Greta. 4 minutes simmering. So we are going to let it get to a simmer, because this is a really rolling and boil. Oh my goodness. Talking Spanish the whole day and then switching over to English does something to my brain that suddenly it cannot process. So when you hear those long pauses, that's what it is. Sorry. Yeah, so you see how it's slowly getting lower because it's slowly reducing that temperature. But that high boil is gonna get that sugar nice and dissolved and get all those delicious flavors marrying together. In the meanwhile, I don't have a canner, but I do have my tamal olla, my tamal making steamer. All you need is any large pot that you have a base to it. That way your jars are not directly hitting the bottom of your pot. So I have that water getting warm. I don't necessarily want it to get boiling because I don't want to have the water super boiling and then add like cooler jars into the boiling water, because that can happen. That can get your jars to break. So definitely I would recommend you not do that, but you want to do that, that's on you. This is the worst tutorial ever. Anyways, so you see how much lower it got? It went from here to there. So it's definitely at a good simmer right now. We are letting that go for 4 minutes. See, we are back where we started, which is great. Letting that simmer for 4 minutes. Okay, those 4 minutes have passed on simmering. Then we are going to raise the heat up again, bring it back again to a rolling boil, which is not going to take too long. And once it is boiling again, you see that's a good boil. We are going to add our peppers and then wait until we bring it back to a boil with the peppers in. So getting all my peppers. Look how pretty they are. Isn't that nice? That is so festive now that I think about it. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is when I understand when someone says that they don't really like the turmeric and the celery seed on it. The way that the vinegar and all those ingredients smell, it is a little strong. So I'm going to turn on the fan so hopefully you guys can hear me better. But it's just I'm adding the peppers and this thing is dangerous. So adding peppers now because we are at a boil. Adding all of my peps in. Alright, all of my peppers are in. I'm going to stir this a little bit just to get them all nice and covered. And break up all the ones that didn't get fully sliced better. So we are going to stir it. You see that they're gonna break up again. It's no big deal. Stir, stir, stir. Make sure none of them are sticking to the wall, which it will happen, but you know, just try to make sure they're all in the syrup. Okay, we're waiting for these peppers to boil. Once that happens, we are going to reduce the heat again and simmer it for 4 minutes. So I'm gonna have my timer ready on that for 4 minutes while we wait for the boil. All right, we are now at a boil. We are reducing the heat again and pressing start on our timer because we want to simmer this for 4 minutes. In the meanwhile, what that is happening, I have my lids in a, oof, that smell of, oh my dear Lord, that is strong. In the meanwhile, I have my lids in warm water, just so the rubber gasket, as I already told you guys, just get a little warm and you get a better seal, or at least that's what Caleb from Wise Guy says, and I am doing it. And last time that I didn't do that, I had to reprocess my jars a few times because it did not seal. So I mean, grandma knows best. So if Caleb's grandma says to warm those up, I will warm those up from now on because it did work. So I mean, I'm just telling you what I know. It definitely does help. Meanwhile, I already have all of my little jars. These are a quarter of a pint jars. They are all washed, and I like to put them in this tray because it's so much easier to carry from point A to point B because they are going to be hot once we add the stuff in there. In the website of the ball and a lot of the canning websites, you can just Google the headspace, and you can very easily access pictures where they will explain to you that these little lines that you guys see right here actually do represent some of the headspace. For the recipe, we need a 1/4 inch of headspace, so we're gonna fill our jars up to this first one right here. So the first one is 1/4 inch. Let me turn that off. Okay, we are good. I am going to actually turn this off for just a little bit. Or no, let's leave it while I explain to you guys that. So right now I'm going to fill in my jars to 1/4 inch just with the jalapenos. I'm not going to get as much juice as possible because we want the syrup to thicken again, but we are fill them up to 1/4 of an inch. So this one's 1/4 of an inch. This one right here is 1/2 an inch. And then this guy is a full inch. So it is kind of neat to be able to tell with the lines. However, you can use a ruler to find out to the 1/4 of an inch. This is my clean kitchen ruler that I have in the kitchen at all times. I don't have the one that comes with the kit for canning. We are going to use our little magnet to pick up the lids from the hot water and our little funnel. I'm very new to canning, so that's why I still have plastic ones. I will highly recommend, if you are going to keep on canning, which I intend to switch over to a stainless steel, because when it's hot stuff, eventually hot stuff kind of like they will either stain the plastic or sometimes become a little too corrosive to your materials. So yep, recommend that. Oh my god. I'm sorry, the peppers. Whew. If you are kind of like a little sensitive to that smell, maybe do it outside with a little propane burner in your pot, because it does smell a lot like peppers. So I'm going to bring over the pot, and then I'm going to fill them and then show you guys. The way I filled the jars up, and leave the syrup, I like to use this very fine, what do you want to call this, spider? I don't know what it is. Wannabe colander for the kitchen. I don't know what the name of this. I pulled this out. Cool. So since these are draining, I'm just gonna grab a very big spoon and ladle the peppers into the jars, because all I really want is peppers, and I want to leave the syrup behind. So I'm going to be doing that to the rest of the peppers. Put those in, nice and tucked in. Next jar. You see that? We want to go to 1/4 of an inch, but right now you're not gonna tell as much because we haven't added the syrup. So we're gonna keep on going and fill up the rest of our little jars. Cool. All of my jars are filled. I do have leftover jars. I am not going to put any of these away yet, only because last time I did have a little bit of syrup left, so I ended up canning the syrup by itself. Becky from 1 Acre Homestead uses the actual leftover syrup for martinis, for a spicy martini. I'm sure that's delicious. However, I'm thinking that we are going to be using that syrup for hot wings. I think that's going to be really, really delicious. I don't know, maybe some like spicy burgers or something. Becky also uses our Cowboy candy in her burgers. I'm sure that's delicious. But honestly, the way that we enjoyed it and loved it was with Ritz crackers or anything fancy that you want to get. We're not fancy at all, so we just did Ritz crackers. The cheapest cream cheese. Whipped one was really nice to spread and make a little like indentation in your cracker with your cream cheese, and then be able to like spoon a hefty amount of Cowboy candy. That one I found to be the best, but honestly, we are not picky at all, and this is so enjoyable with anything. So we're waiting for the syrup to thicken. I have raised the heat once again, and we are going to wait once it is boiling, we are going to wait for 6 minutes and let it thicken until it becomes a delicious syrup. Alright, so now the syrup has boiled for 6 minutes. We are going to ladle the hot syrup in it. Be very careful because it just boiled. Let me get a ladle to ladle it over. So again, just ladle it in. Be very careful, it's very hot. And up to the 1/4 of an inch headspace. And then gently move over to the next jar. So that's what we're gonna keep on doing. All right, now with a little wet or damp towel, with a little bit of clean water, I'm going to be cleaning all of the rims from my little jars. Be careful because the jars are still really warm because of the contents. So you just want to make sure the rim is nice and clean. And then with your little tool, get over here. You are going to place it on top. I don't know if it's a little too hot for me to grab it with my bare hands. So I'm going to clean all of these. Okay, I'm going to be cleaning every single one of them. Then placing my lid on top with my little tool and closing them, just working slowly, that way I don't spill anymore, and just closing them finger tight. So work slowly, take your time. All right, gently we are going to place our jars into our pot in no particular order. Just carefully make sure they're not like super touching. They have enough space. You're working gently, that way you don't tip them over. Once I have them all in, I am going to turn on the pot to high, wait for it to boil, and then process them for 10 minutes. However, check the USDA website if you are on a higher altitude, because you do need to adjust your time if you are at a higher altitude. I am not. I'm literally super low. So for me, it is 10 minutes. I'm gonna try to see if I can squeeze one more in without them touching. If we can play our Tetris right. Nope, we cannot. Coolio. Great. Take this one back out. Put this guy that way. Make more space for your buddies. Oh, I didn't know there was space right here. Maybe one more try. Let's see. Patience. Haha. Cool. They're not super snuggly, but they're definitely not like too much crazy space. I just don't want them to tip over. Cool. Pot on high with a lid, and then we will process them for 10 minutes. All right, now that we are at a boil, we are going to set our timer for 10 minutes. Let that go. Once the 10 minutes pass, we are going to lower the heat for just a little bit. That way when we are taking out the jars, it's not like the steam doesn't burn your hands. I'm going to leave them in this cookie tray or baking tray. There you go, baking tray for just a few seconds. Once they're cool enough, then I will transfer them to my table, where I like to save the boxes because they just become a little easier to stack the jars. So right now we're gonna let those 10 minutes wait, and then we'll be right back. Okay, 10 minutes boiling have passed. So I am gently taking these puppies out. We will let them relax with the ring on still, so they can do a full seal overnight. And throughout a few hours, you are going to hear them ping. As you can see how there is in the middle, there's like, oh, there goes one. in the middle, there's like a little like round button, I guess you can call it. And if you are able to press on the button and hear the noise, then you know that it's not fully sealed. However, we're not going to test them up until tomorrow because you're allowing them to get a full seal. If they don't get a full seal, you can process them again. And that's why a lot of people store their jars without any rings, because if you leave the rings on, it can lead you to believe that you got a full seal when you didn't. Oh, that's what we want to hear. A nice little poppy noise. Coolio. I'm placing the remainder of my jars in the water so then these can get processed. Cool. Back to boiling. And once they boil, or once it reaches boiling temperature, then we will process those for 10 minutes. Ah! That's what you want to hear. You see how that one is fully indented? Cool. That one too, and that one too. But yeah, don't force them. Just let them do their thing. I'm gonna bring some boxes, and then that way I can show you where I store mine. All right, now that they have been processed, I'm just going to let them chillax overnight. They are going to ping away the whole night. Tomorrow morning, we will remove the ring and test them. If they did not get fully sealed, we will reprocess them. If that doesn't work, then we're just gonna eat them immediately. That has never happened to me, but I mean, there's always a first. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. It's super easy, a little bit time consuming, but you know, it's really worth it. If we don't finish enjoying these for the holidays, I'm sure a few of my family members or my neighbors will really enjoy them as Christmas gifts. So that's a way of sharing your garden, making it plentiful, and making sure that it lasts for a good while. Alrighty, I really hope you guys enjoyed the process. I really hope you guys try it out. I'm sure it's gonna be super delicious with any pepper that you use. I have seen online some people use banana peppers. Some people have used the jalapenos, like I said, and then I'm sure you can use any pepper of your choice. We just really enjoy using the Serranos because we have so many rather than really having more jalapenos. So that was just a way of using the Serranos and making sure that we have them throughout the year. Becky from 1 Acre Homestead, she says that she uses the Cowboy candy on burgers. I'm sure that's so delicious and I cannot wait to try it. And then Joe Rogan says that every time that he eats a steak, he like grills jalapenos and eats his jalapenos, his steak with a little bit of grilled jalapenos. But I'm sure any like grilled meat or any steak with a little bit of that will be delicious. So I'm so excited to try it on meat. Again, I really hope you guys get inspired to do some canning. This is a very, very simple recipe, a little time consuming, but you guys, talk about like exceptional charcuterie boards. Like, oh, I can't say that word, so don't come for me. But anyways, for the little charcuterie boards, they are really good and they really make the board. So I hope you guys do try it. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and I will see you guys later. Bye. Hi guys, it's the next morning, and I just wanted to show you what a sealed jar would look like. All of these jars did seal yesterday that we made the Cowboy candy. So if you press on them, you're not gonna feel any resistance, whereas if you have a jar that's not fully sealed, you're gonna feel that little center like move up and down. no resistance at all. I cannot push it in. So it means he's perfectly sealed. We now take off the ring off of them. And as you can see, it's a full good seal. So yeah, happy canning. I hope you guys do truly get inspired to try it out. It's super easy. It's super fun. And then you get to enjoy your produce for a long time.